G'day, I'm Warwick Schiller, back to talk about another book that has influenced me in my series of books that have influenced me. And this one is one called Mastery by a fellow named George Leonard. And George Leonard was an Aikido master, I think. But this book is about how to master anything. And it's really interesting. What's really interesting about this book and how it's helped me, and it's helped me explain like the process of horse training to people, is that in this book, George talks about how when you learn something new, if you're looking at a graph, you learn something new, when you know nothing about it, as soon as you know something about it, hey, you've got a lot better. And then what tends to happen is you drop off a little bit and then you flatten out for a while. So you don't get any better for a while. And you keep working away at it, and then you get better, and then you drops down a bit, and then you plateau out for a while. And he says, if you look at a graph of how someone learns how to do something, most of the time you're on the plateau. Okay, you're staying on the plateau and you're working on your skills, and what happens is you get enough, your skills become so solid that they allow you to make what he calls an upward surge. And then you go up a bit, and then you'll drop down a bit, and then you're back on the plateau again. And he says, the thing about mastering anything is you have to learn to love the plateau. And I think helping people with their horses, a lot of times when you get to a new level, what you have to do is you just have to keep doing that same thing over and over and over and over and over. Like, you're at this level, you're just going to keep working on it. You're not working on it. So this is not drilling on a horse. Because drilling on a horse is when they know how to do something and you just keep doing it over and over and over. This is, and a lot of people say, well, if you do something over and over and over, horses get frustrated or bored or whatever. I've never found a horse to get frustrated or bored with a puzzle. So you ask a question and they go, I don't know what the answer is. Is it this? No. Is it this? No. Is it this? Oh, it's this. And then you release. And then you give them some time, and then you can ask that question again. And I've never found one to get bored or frustrated or whatever. If there's a question, there's a search, there's an answer, there's a release, then there's some peace. Then there's a search. So there's a question, there's a search, there's an answer, there's a release, then there's some peace. And so it goes like that. But the thing is, you might have to repeat something over and over and over, and you've got to be in the moment working on what's going on, not working on worried about what you're going to do with it. And in this book, George Leonard quotes something called Karma Yoga, which is the most spiritual of the ancient Hindu practices. And he says, Karma Yoga is focusing on a task with no thought as to the outcome of that task. And I think a lot of people with their horses are working on this bit because I want that over there to happen. And that's where frustration sets in, because that over there is not coming soon enough, or that over there, why aren't I there yet? And like I said, George Leonard says you have to learn to love the plateau, because if you look at the whole scheme of things, you spend most of your time on the plateau. Like, if you divide it up into time slots, how much you spend on the plateau, how much you spend going up, how much you spend dropping down slightly, 90% of it you are on the plateau with those upward surges in between. And so I love, it's only a little skinny book, it's not a hard read, and I love recommending it to people because it really helps them avoid frustration when they're training their horses, or really anything, but I help people with their horses. It helps people avoid frustration because you understand, oh, this is perfectly normal. I'm on the right track. You know what I mean? If you were to drive from California here we used to drive to Oklahoma City a lot. It's about a 27-hour drive. You break it up into a few days. But we drive down California on a highway called 5, and then we get onto some other ones. But you ended up getting on Highway 40. And in America, the even-numbered highways go east to west, and the odd-numbers ones go north and south. Well, once we got on 40, we were on 40 for a day and a half, 2 days, maybe a day and a half sort of thing. And you don't go, why aren't we getting on some other road? Okay? Because we're on 40. 40 is going to get us there. We're not there yet, but we're on the right road. And that's what I think people struggle with their horse training, is they doubt whether, because it's taking time, they doubt they're on the right road. So this is where you've got to have a mentor to know you're on the right road. But the other thing you've got to be able to do is you've got to be able to, as George Leonard says, love the plateau. So highly recommend Mastery by George Leonard in my series of books that have influenced me.